Hey Taurus. It's so crazy how just going from one season to the next, the more that you become aware, the more sensitive that you are. You might not even be at all aware of astrology, yet you can feel the seasons change, just like fall going into winter, just like summer going into fall, and and on and on. So I just want to recognize that. And for you guys specifically, I think the more and more, if you are someone who really listens to your body, if you are a Taurus who are just beginning, you will notice that the more you clean or cleanse yourself, it doesn't matter if that means you're hygienically cleaner, maybe you're eating better. That's a big one. If you're cleansing your system, it's a great time to do that because there's a lot to digest going into the seasons, and by the time you get to Virgo season, you're going to want to digest naturally because that's what rules Virgo rules the digestive system. So you're naturally going to find tendencies to digest thought, emotion, everything. But I think all earth signs give us this chance to take a look, give ourselves a second, notice, whatever it is. Why? I mean, earth sign, right? So we're in your last set of eclipses from the past 2 years. Especially if you have any degrees in which the eclipses are falling, but we'll get more into all of that into the second part. That will be in a link below. There's a lot of cards that just fell out just now that are going to say a lot of things. So yeah, all information to work with me one-on-one is below. I highly recommend the second part to the readings. They also do come out on YouTube, but I'm not as consistent with putting them all out in a good time. I'm doing my best to be better, just so that you can get a glimpse of what you would be supporting me doing. So the second parts are definitely more in depth. I honestly think they're better than the first parts, to be honest. The first parts, it's my first look. And the more that I do this, the more that I've done this in my life, the more that it gets easier, but I'm speaking to a general group of people. That's why the personal readings are so on point, because I can get extremely detailed with you. And the more that I hone into the details of Taurus and wherever Taurus falls in your life, because you could just take one simple thing that I say, even if you have different areas of Taurus in your chart, if you're not a sun or a rising, if you're even just learning about those parts of your chart, it's not a bad idea to take a look at videos, not necessarily always these ones, but videos that amplify that specific area. So if you have Taurus in the second house, this could actually speak to your second house without being so detailed towards it, if that makes sense. It's more about just hearing what's being said about a particular area in your life. I didn't know I was going to go there, but there it is. So back to your reading, back to what's going on with you specifically. Let's see here. There's more cards, but we're going to start with these 4 because we also have quite a few more. Actually, I think these ones might be important. So first and foremost, what's breaking down for you is your idea, not only your idea, your ideals, your programming, the system that you grew up with, what your parents showed you, if you came from wealth, if you didn't come from wealth, if you came from, comfort, if you came from not as much means, all of that's still breaking down for you. And for a lot of you, it feels so impactful. It feels so personal. So let me just start by saying it is extremely personal. And every part of you so there are things that each sign doesn't like to look at, will avoid until it's time. You guys love your money. You do. And there are times when you're being overly luxurious. So it's a great time, if you have not started in the past 1.5 years, to start really looking at your money every day, often, a couple times a week, making a plan, getting someone to help you, having someone to handhold you through it. Everyone needs that in their life at some point with something, needing to be handheld, right? You, Taurus, are used to doing most of the hand holding, being that person for people to rely on, being that person who is always steady and strong, being that person, you can continue on that. So what you're recognizing is what has hurt you, probably made you feel maybe weak. Maybe what has made you feel like you're not living up to ... You fill in the blanks. And now it's almost as if something has turned, something recently impacted you, maybe a conversation, maybe it could be anything, a meditation, something or a concept or something that you've gone through in your body, perhaps, or from Aries season, that all of a sudden we come into your season, it's the eclipse, boom, Aries eclipse, right when we enter your season. And we have Mercury retrograde in your sign. You have no problem facing these issues, facing whatever's become difficult emotionally impacting you, because you're going to recognize that at an even deeper level that's affecting your self-worth, who you are, what you're wanting, what that means. Maybe you're going to break the glass ceiling, even the walls. Maybe it's not just a simple equation. Maybe it's going to look different. Maybe there's a risk you want to take. In fact, I think there is, especially if it has to do with your finances. There's something that you have realized that, yes, whatever it is has gotten you thus far into this point in your life, into the amazing person that you already are, and the secure person that you already are, but there's something that just that's falling short. I don't want you to necessarily rush into anything, right? We have a lot of energy here wanting to do that. However, it's not about you having this adrenaline rush and you saying, oh shit, I really got to do this. Yeah, but you got to do it in your Taurus way, with your head on top of your body, and with your body mostly in control. What that's going to do for you. So don't, I'm not telling you to stop. Sorry, there's just something on the card. What I'm saying is that that's going to promote whatever in the unconscious really needs to take its last moment in your life. These realizations of, oh, this is what I thought I wanted. This is what I thought I was supposed to want. This is what I thought was going to bring me happiness, bring me luxury, bring me freedom, financial freedom. But what you're experiencing now is an even more broad, in-depth look at everything that you've had to take a look at within yourself. And I know it seems like a lot, but we're getting to the next part and it's going to be really, really good. So just like and if you don't know, I'm going to, in a very simple way, spell it out for you. So we're going to go back to that seasons that I was talking about, right? So we go back to the seasons. Your spring in in this area, and that's what we consider spring. You take what has become dead, what has been frozen underground during winter, what has been dormant, the most commonly used word, and you nurture it to grow. In your season, we see everything bloom. Everything comes to life at its own time, and then each season takes its own way. But when we first see spring again after 6 or more months of cold, death, winter's entire metaphor, especially in, I didn't watch the show, but Game of Thrones, the winter. But even more so in all hopes, I know people are still going through their terms of the pandemic, but even that kind of a winter. I think that even on a broad scale of things, people just look at death again and took it to a different level. Why do I bring that up? Why is that important? Well, when you allow yourself to evolve from one place to the next and not just stay stuck in what we had thought death is, or what this one philosophy says, or what this one religion says, when there's a lot of them that can coexist and commingle in the same space, it's about becoming so aware that everyone deals with things differently. Everything does things different. Everyone does things differently. Every single person, unless, they're truly manipulated or truly believe that this thing is going to be the best it can be, and you want to be a part of a religion. And I think that's a beautiful thing, to devote yourself to God. And, even in a spiritual context, you may not see it that way, and particularly because you've taken all the traditions that you've had and what you're learning from, and you're learning to face them head on, especially in ways where they've hurt you. You can't heal them unless you look at them. You can't really notice, why is this particular area of my life being so affected? Well, it's possible that you're not taking a full scope, full look at what this thing is and how it affects every day in your life, how it has affected you thus far. Look at all this. Yes, you are going through a huge change. Yes, you are being resurrected. So we talked about Cancer being resurrected last month, but you are resurfacing to the earth at this point. You are not only in bloom, but you are ready to not just be so still. A lot of people know you as this very slow moving, gradual paced creature. And that's okay if that's the route you want to take this month. But this month, you with yourself, so you are going to grow rapidly at this time, especially in terms of how you're presented into the world and but without even overly presenting. You might not even change anything you do, but something internally, which is a huge point of it, the subconscious, but internally you face some things in a very just straightforward manner. And what it's going to do is help you get away from all of those things that kept you thinking that, well, this is it, like the 7 of Cups. And yeah, it may hurt a little. There's, hurt and growth, but mostly it's about when you are painfully shy, when you don't really want to be seen, but you can't help but look at that beautiful tree, cherry blossoms or dogwoods or magnolias, as I've talked about in my daily life, or any of the most amazing vibrant colors, being especially pinks and purples we see in this season. So I want you to be aware of that, yellows, reds, we see them all, but I've been seeing purplish and pinks, kind of like this color on my nail, but even more, right? So of course we go to intuition with that for the most part, and here it is, very much sticking out. And that's where you need to remember is your biggest ally, your biggest asset. Gemini season is going to be even more asking this of you, even more, to see what you're naturally talented at, to see what fruits you already can take off the tree, off the bush, see which ones you can feed yourself. This is your season. That's what your season's about for you. And then it will be about moving forward. But that's what drives this very fortuitous and lucky role you get to go on, where you don't have to do anything to keep it going. Not extra effort. The effort comes from what you're looking at internally and what you're moving away from at this point. You've been doing it for a while, but this time it's kind of oh, I see what's happening now. You even are in it. So not like Cancer, very similar to Cancer, where when you're just in your thing, and whether it's good or bad, the relationship, you know how to be in it, but you like certain structure. You like a visual. of what's happening, that like formulaic example, you're realizing that the formula has to change. Your formula is changing now. It's not as straightforward as it normally is, because you're taking that part that's being straightforward and pairing it with yourself and what's going on with you. And it gives you so much power and so much insight into what's important for you to connect to, who it's important for you to connect to. Your spiritual life is going to become extremely important in this time. And it relates specifically to your money and your emotions. So directly. There's so much sureness here. We have the Fool right above the High Priestess. There's so much sureness, there's so much readiness, there's so much faith in this reading that even if you don't identify with those things, it's important maybe for you to figure out or question or inquire this month. Maybe write about it, maybe talk to people about it. Start engaging yourself in different groups, and you can do that even right online, with what this looks like, what divinity is in this time of this specific social structure and your specific structure of life, social, traditional, modern, whatever route you're in. What you're realizing is that you are not just black and white, but I don't think you ever saw yourself that way. But I think by going through this, you'll realize how much there has been. And now you're ready to make more of an infusion, make more of an impact in your own self in that way. And it's only going to do you some good. It's like the Fool and the Knight of Wands are highly aware that it's Mercury retrograde, and what you're thinking about or what you're resurrecting from yourself, what you're taking a further look at in yourself, all has to do with what you've almost been told, right? And you may agree also with some of those things now, but now you have a huge advantage to disagree and change it up. And a lot of times when we finally connect with what is really for us, your true, authentic space in this world, things accelerate almost right away. Because it's saying, yes, this is going to lead you exactly where you need to go. There's no formula here. Your intuition is the only thing you can take with you right now. And as you see it develop. I know so long, I spent so much time with you, but there's so much even more I want to say. I was so excited to get ready into the readings, but I want to leave it there. I want you to soak that in and then head over to the next part, which we will be doing right now. Because this reading, I just left it as like the rays that they are, and look what we have at the bottom. There's so much coming out of you that you've been nurturing for years. And it's time for you to see yourself. It's time for others to see you. But it's not like you're making this presentation to the world. The world is actually opening up the grand stairs for you to walk. All right? Next part. All the information is below. I think I'm doing another podcast this month as well. While painting, Bob Ross style. It's been fun to do that. And I hope you have a great birthday, Taurus. See you next month.